Welcome to the Tuesday, July 15th, 2014 Village of Peoria Heights Board of Trustees meeting. Meeting is now called to order. Would you please rise and join us in the pledge of the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Present.
Trustee Carter. Trustee Fuller.
Present.
Trustee Reichert. Present. Trustee Gett.
Present.
Trustee Cumming.
Present.
Thank you very much. The first order of business tonight is the approval of the Board of Trustees minutes for the July 1st meeting. Are there any changes that need to be made to the minutes as submitted?
Move to approve the minutes.
Motion from Trustee Gett.
Second.
Second from Trustee Cumming. All those in favor of approving the Village of Peoria Heights Board of Trustees meeting for July 1st, 2015 as submitted by our village clerks, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Thank you. The ayes have it. The board has approved the minutes as submitted. Next up would be correspondence, and that will be presented by our village clerk, Shauna Musselman.
All right, I have one item this evening. It is a letter from the Peoria Heights Junior Football League to the Peoria Heights Village Board. On behalf of the Peoria Heights Junior Football League Executive Board, we would like to thank you for your generous donation to our program. Your donation is going to be put towards providing underprivileged kids the opportunity to participate in this activity. The Peoria Heights JFL Executive Board is also going to place your logo on our sponsorship banner that will be hung at all home football games for every level. Thank you for your time and consideration. The Peoria Heights JFL Executive Board, signed John Adkins, Tyler Gorman, Chris Ahart, Michelle Marfel, Robbie Matheson, Andy Hockenberry, Mark Kennington, and Ron Foster.
Okay. Thank you very much. No announcements tonight, so we're going to go directly to trustee reports, and first will be the ambulance service with Trustee Fuller.
Thank you, Marilyn. We had a busy month for the month of June. We had 85 total calls, 73 of which were medical calls, and 58 total transports. So, busy month. Is there anything else to add, Chief?
Nothing else. Okay. Thank you. Any questions at all for Trustee Fuller? All right. Thanks again. We'll move to Public Works with Trustee Harn.
Thank you, Marilyn. We don't have anything tonight.
Well, that's a shock. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Tree trimming?
Not
Please.
that we're not busy.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so.
I feel a record
I guess
being broke.
I think
Talk
that's
about
worth talking about. It turned out quite well, and I know Kyle is quite proud of how it turned out, so.
What's that, the tree trimming?
Yes.
Yeah, give us a little information about the tree trimming.
Oh, let's not ask for it. We're good.
Well, thank you for asking. If you'll take notice, starting at Kelly, the 2 blocks north of Kelly on the east side of Prospect have been trimmed. So the trees have been lifted and all the dead wood has been removed, and I think they look quite handsome when you compare them with the trees on the west side, which will be trimmed next Monday. So please take note.
We will. Thank you very much.
they do look a lot nicer if they're trimmed up. You can actually see the front of the stores again. And it looks good.
Great. Good.
Do we have any complaints? Well, you were on vacation. Maybe Matt could know.
Complaints as far as the trimming
Yeah,
goes?
a lot of times people get upset when you trim the trees. I don't know why, but
Yeah, but
They
there were
go back.
it was done Monday and Kyle was back, but I haven't heard of any complaints.
Yeah, I was back for the actual trimming. We were real careful before I left town. We wrote up a letter, gave it to all the businesses up and down there, so they should have been pretty well informed.
are they trimming in the residential areas also?
No, this is
Just the business areas?
yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that explains it.
And the Public Works Director Smith was out of town. They also did repapered and mulched all the planter boxes around the trees on Prospect and hit that BP area and removed all the dead vegetation and put paper and rock and everything in there. So like the Prospect strip corridor has gotten a lot of attention the last week and a half, and I think it's starting to look pretty good.
Yeah, we were talking a little while ago about repainting the crosswalks also. Bring those, but they're getting kind of faded and wore down a little bit.
Okay.
Just makes the village look really nice, and it really does look nice right now. It's being landscaped. So
Great.
I guess we did have some public works things to talk about.
Good job.
Thanks for getting on the crosswalks. I think I might have mentioned at the last chamber meeting that we might be jumping on that here sometime before the fall, so.
Yeah, we bought our own equipment. We have our own painting equipment. We remember we went
Last
out
year.
for bid, and it was just
Yeah.
outrageous to have someone come do it, but our own people can do it pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
And they do a nice job, and it looks good.
Yeah, it looked beautiful last year. It just doesn't hold up for very long in the Illinois winters, so,
Now, with the snow blades dragging across the paint, and
yep.
1,000 cars a day, or however many 1,000 cars a day going over it wears it down
Yeah.
a little too.
14,000.
But you know, the thing is, whether you pay a fortune to have it done or you do it yourself, it lasts the same amount of time. So,
Okay, great. Any questions at all for trustee Harn? Okay, thanks again. We'll go now to administration personnel with trustee Reichert.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing.
Okay, thank you very much. Trustee Carter was unable to be here tonight. Mr. Administrator, any news on the economic development village improvements front?
Nothing to report tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll go now to the police department with trustee Cumming.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I'm going to take this opportunity to promote my usual, the Neighborhood Watch meeting. Next one will take place Monday, the 28th at 6:30, right up here at Village Hall. And as always, if you have any code enforcement or police issues in your neighborhood, please come up and let us know about them, and we will get those rectified for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions at all for trustee Cumming? Thanks again. We'll go to building maintenance with trustee Gett.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I have nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. We will close out with the fire department with trustee Gett.
Second verse.
Same as the first. Thank you very much, everyone. Comments from the audience? If you have a comment or a concern, please come up.
Doing wonderful.
Oh,
My name is Suzette Walden. I live a couple blocks that way. And my first time at your meeting, it's fun. I mean, you're doing a good job. Hang in there, guys.
Thank you.
can you please come to every meeting?
You never know. I know that Fuller guy over there.
Yeah, we know him too. That's why we want you here at every meeting.
Oh, no, I helped the legs down.
Okay. Like a lot of people did. He's a popular fellow.
He is. Very smart.
Yes. Keep going. He's not turning red yet.
He knows me. Takes it in stride.
All right, if there's no well, we appreciate those comments anyway. I know trustee Fuller does. We thank everyone for attending. No old business tonight, so we're going to move to new business. And first up is regarding the Tower Park Music Festival. And have a lineup here that I just handed out to the board, and I apologize for the lateness of it. But we have the charges here for each of the individual bands. And let me see here.
Are you doing that one before the payment for the advanced audio?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I jumped ahead. Let's go to, I'm sorry, we will go to the advanced audio bid first. And the bid from Advanced Audio, I think this has been pretty much the same for several years, hasn't it?
it has.
And they put on a good show for us. The lighting is outstanding. They have great sound system, obviously. It's a very professional way of doing things. The cost is $5,750. So I would ask for the board to approve this and need a motion, please.
I so move.
Have a motion from trustee Gett.
Second.
Second from trustee Cumming. Are there any questions or comments from the board before the board votes? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of the charge from Advanced Audio and Lighting in the amount of $5,750 for Tower Park Music Fest on August 1st and 2nd. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn?
Aye.
Trustee Fuller?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Cumming?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 5-0, the board has approved the charge from Advanced Audio and Lighting for Tower Park Music Fest in the amount of $5,750. Next up, we have the lineups. I jumped the gun on for the bands. On Friday, August 1st is 3 o'clock is Heavy Shake. At 5 o'clock is Roundstone Buskers. 7 o'clock is Soul. 9 o'clock, Page and the Reverent Few. Saturday, August 2nd, 3 o'clock, Robin Crow Band. 5 o'clock, The Midnight Special. 7 o'clock, Barry Cloyd and Friends. And 9 o'clock is Drive Train featuring Nick Betcher, and Nick has closed out Tower Park Music Fest every year. And I believe this is the 8th year. I think it is. So that's great. We always look forward to seeing Nick back here again. The total cost for all 8 bands comes to be $7,400, which I think is really kind of a bargain with how good these bands are. But I need a motion from the board for approval.
So moved.
Motion from trustee Gett,
Second.
second from trustee Fuller. Any questions or comments from the board before the board votes? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of the total charge of $7,400 for the 8 bands performing on Friday, August 1st and Saturday, August 2nd at Tower Park Music Fest. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Aye.
Trustee Fuller.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert.
Aye.
Trustee Gett.
Aye.
Trustee Cummings.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. By a vote of 5-0, the board has approved the charges for the bands at Tower Park Music Fest. Next up is ordinance 2014-1409. And this is a very long description of the ordinance, but I'm going to turn that over to trustee Fuller.
Okay, so I want to read the name, which, give me a second here with it, and then maybe we can sort of discuss it and talk about it and kind of go into what it actually means. So it's ordinance 2014-1409, which is an ordinance of the Village of Peoria Heights authorizing an advisory question of public policy regarding the levy of a special tax to support the village ambulance service to be placed on the ballot during the general election to be held on November 4th, 2014. So basically, we're putting a question on the ballot that'll appear, on your November 4th ballot, whether or not the village should raise property taxes to fund the ambulance service. That's probably the simplest way that we can put into it. Now, Administrator Fick has prepared some information, and I gave everybody that just before the meeting. So if you'd want to take a look at that, that has some of the bullet points associated with it, as well as some of the projections, revenue projections, things like that. Basically, I'll actually just read the question from the actual ballot. It reads, shall the Village of Peoria Heights levy a property tax at a rate not to exceed 22% to protect the public safety by adequately funding its ambulance service? Yes or no? And then below that, it'll say, an ambulance tax levied at a rate of 22% would result in an increase of $60 in the real estate tax on an owner-occupied home with a fair market value of $100,000. So that's pretty straightforward. Yeah. The important thing about this particular question is that it's non-binding. So legally, it's non-binding. Practically, it may be, but legally, it's non-binding. So whatever the residents of the Heights tell us, we have the option to either go forward with it or not. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or wants to add anything to that. That's sort of a real brief overview.
Mr. Administrator?
I think Trustee Fuller did a very good job of explaining it. I guess I would just add that we will put together some more information to mail out to the general public prior to the election. Obviously, there's a need for this, or we wouldn't be going through this process. The ambulance service is I feel like, is a great asset for the Heights to have. I don't know for a fact, I think it's awful hard to make money in the ambulance business, and we found that out ourselves. So it has kind of gotten to the point that we really need to find out, is this something that the village values, and are they willing to pay, an incremental increase in their property tax to support it? And if not, then the board's going to have to kind of, look to themselves and decide what we need to do next. So I guess that would be the only thing I would add, that we'll be sending out some information to explain why we need to be doing this sometime prior to the election.
Now, I don't know, I'm just kind of talking, or is there a timetable for, are we just going to put information up on the website, or will there be a mailer or something like that?
I think it's up to the board, obviously, but I think we've already discussed putting some type of mailer out there or having something written. And like I said, it's up to each individual trustee if they want to have, sign their name to it or whatever, and I don't know if that's even necessary.
Okay.
I think that facts and figures might suffice. But we can cross that bridge when we come to it, but I think a mailer would be important, and I think there's a number of people who'd be willing to go door to door as well.
Okay.
I think it's important to note on that we're not looking to make money off of the ambulance service, and we're just looking for a way to fund the loss that we're incurring with the ambulance service.
Oh, that's correct, yes.
And I'm not sure everyone knows in Peoria Heights, I'm sure a number of people do, but a lot of people don't. I still believe that, is that the ambulance service is a paid service and has been for 6 years, I believe. And a few years back, we went from paid basic life support to going to paramedic status. So what we have to offer is as good as any in the area. And the cost has been borne from our general fund for all those years, and it has obviously taken an impact on our general fund, and that's why we're taking it to the public now. The charges that we anticipated would be received from the ambulance service when we put this into effect 4 or 5 years ago have not worked out the way we hoped, because Medicaid, Medicare funding has changed quite a bit. That's part of it. But we think that it's up to the public to decide if they think the village should continue to have their own paid ambulance service. And I think that it's always good for any municipality, if we can afford it, to maintain our own services for a number of reasons, if we can afford it. And I think that for a fair market value of $100,000 on a house, which a number of our houses aren't, $60.13 is not bad a year. You know, $5 a month for a $100,000 assessed value house. That's a pretty good deal, I think, to know that you've got an ambulance service that can arrive quicker than the alternative. So,
Yeah, that should be noted on there, that if this ambulance service goes away, we're going to have to wait on AMT or whoever, if they're not busy having to go to Peoria or somewhere else. With our own, they're dedicated to this area.
right.
And they're faster, they're not having to, I mean, we do mutual aid, but we come first, so
Right.
that should be noted on there. I mean, people understand that it's, oh, well, they go away, we still have AMT. Well, yeah, but it's not as quick.
Well, and maybe that's one of the statistics that'll be on the
That's what I'm
mailers, you know,
hoping.
response times, things like that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, common sense is going to tell us that if we have a vehicle up
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
9 times out of 10, we're probably going to be there before AMT or any other ambulance service could be there. That being said, AMT is a fine service. It isn't like we're saying if this goes away, we're finished, we're done, and nobody will show up for 4 hours. So, but we do know, point of fact, that if we have a dedicated vehicle here, odds are we're going to get there much quicker than any other service. So,
Well, and some people might say, well, we had a volunteer ambulance. Well, they should remember, a volunteer ambulance took a while to get to the place, and the level of care is, I mean, the level of care we got now is so much better, so.
yeah, and the volunteer services, as anyone who reads the newspaper knows, is just a dying dinosaur. You know, I mean, it really is, and particularly for around here, we were dependent upon the third shift worker to man our ambulances for the first shift. And when the third shift slowly disappeared, particularly when PAPS closed, the ranks kept shrinking and shrinking. It wasn't too hard to find people to show up from, 7 in the evening to maybe, midnight or thereabouts, but the first shift was really causing trouble because everyone's at work. So, I guess you want to make a motion?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have to read it again, but I'll just say, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2014-1409.
Okay. Are there, need a second, please?
Second.
I have a second from trustee Cumming, obviously a motion from trustee Fuller. Are there any questions or comments from the board before the board votes? Any further questions, comments? Okay, once again, this is for board approval of placing ordinance number 2014-1409 on the ballot coming up. And as outlined by trustee Fuller and Administrator Fick, Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Trustee Harn.
Aye.
Trustee Fuller.
Aye.
Trustee Reichert.
Aye.
Trustee Gett.
Aye.
Trustee Cumming.
Aye.
Thank you. By a vote of 5-0, the board has approved the placement of the question regarding the funding of the ambulance service for our November 4th election. which brings us now to the treasurer's report, and that will be read by our village clerk, Shauna Musselman.
All right, this represents the bank balances for the month of June 2014 as submitted by our village treasurer, Cliff Brumbaugh. The general fund account is $590,925.97. Motor fuel account is $249,524.82. Police drug savings account is $553.81. Tax increment finance account is $38,149.36. The healthcare flex account is $770.34. For a grand total in the village accounts of $879,924.30. The waterworks account is $618,963.81. The service deposit account is $85,727.44, for a grand total in the waterworks accounts of $704,691.25.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments regarding the treasurer's report? Okay, then we will accept it as submitted and read. Our next departmental committee meeting will be held Wednesday, July 23rd at 6:30 p.m. Next Board of Trustees meeting will be held Tuesday, August 5th at 6:30 p.m. Is there any other business to come before the board this evening?
I move we adjourn.
Motion from trustee Gett,
Second.
second from trustee Harn. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting at this time, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Thank you. The ayes have it. Meeting is now adjourned, and we thank everyone for attending.